This is a video of clips that I took with my Mavic Air using the DJI Goggles for the first time, trying to catch some of the planes that were flying, as you can see in this clip here, one that goes by. At this first setting, I had the DJI Goggles set for no head tracking at all. So I'm totally controlling where the gimbal looks with the scroll wheel on the transmitter, and I'm controlling the drone using the sticks on the transmitter. I have an ND16 filter on the lens. The frame rate is set at 30 and it should be at 24. And the ISO is at 100. You can see a plane just go by there landing in the field. I'm trying to capture planes in the air. There's one going by, and he came by pretty close there. I told the pilots that I was going to be up there, and please don't hit me. Basically, I stayed in one spot. I'm up about 125 feet, and I just rotated the body of the drone around to capture the planes as they would go by me. Since there's no telephoto or anything, sometimes the planes just seem to be a dot in the sky when they're far away. They have to get uncomfortably close to make a better viewing. When I say uncomfortably, like there, he just went by pretty close. The thing is, because you have the goggles on, you can't see line of sight of the planes, and so you can't make a judgment on how far away the plane is from the drone. And as you can see, trying to do this, I lose him. He went by and I lost him. I started yawing really fast to try to find the plane again, and that's usually to no avail. It's pretty tough to follow the plane when you're up in the air like that and letting it fly around you. I don't want to try following the plane just yet. I want to get the practice in at just moving the drone around and trying to capture the planes as they go by me before I start to actually put it into sport mode and follow behind the plane, trying to track it too. It might be a two-man job. Now that was really close just then. It looked like he was about 10 feet in front of me. He probably was farther. Now here's a shot where I managed to follow him pretty good. He sort of stays in one spot for me. And I keep him in front for a good long time, but I'm so far away. There's go from left to right across the screen, and he goes off the screen. And there he goes from left to right at the top. Now, I went to screen here, and swiping down with two fingers, I chose head tracking flight so that my head movement in the goggles would control both the gimbal up and down, and left and right, they would control the yaw direction of the drone. That turned out to be just too much. It's not bad, the up and down movement of the gimbal, as here's a glider I'm following. But when I try to turn my head in the goggles to move the drone in its yaw left to right, there's a bit of lag, and then it tends to overreact. It's just not a natural movement, and I end up losing the plane. As you can see, I'm hunting for it right here. There, now I got it back again, so I try to follow it. And since it's a little farther away right now, I have more of him in my field of vision, and it's a little easier to track him. The up and down movement is not a problem with the gimbal, but the left and right yaw of the copter, the drone, is just too much. I'd rather use the stick. I'll show you when I actually do that. So head tracking flight is a lot to be doing while trying to control your drone with the sticks and control the direction of the camera and the yaw of the copter with your head. You can also yaw the copter with the stick. I think the stick takes preference over the movement of the goggles left and right. This is a pretty good follow. He comes closer and closer, and then of course when he gets underneath me, I can't look. I can look straight down, but as I turn around to find him, I'd lost him. And you can't zoom out to try to find him again. So I come around to the front, and there he is. So all of this is with head tracking flight. Coming up, I'll change to head tracking gimbal, where I have to use the left stick for yaw. There is no yaw on the goggles, just up and down movement of the gimbal. And here it is right here, head tracking gimbal. I made this change. And then also go in your AR auxiliary settings and make sure that these two switches were turned on. This is a little easier. Right now I have yaw control of the drone with the stick only, and gimbal up and down control only with the up and down movement of my goggles. So I don't have to turn my head left or right. I can just sit in a chair facing in one direction and control everything by what I see on the screen in front of me without moving my head around, other than up and down, which is more of a natural movement when you're sitting in a chair. So I'm yawing the copter with the stick, and then of course if he flies too far above me, I have to raise the copter's elevation. But on this Mavic Air, you can move the gimbal upwards 30 degrees. It goes down -90 and up to +30. So you can look up a little bit without actually having to change the altitude of the drone. He went by pretty close there. It seems to be, if you stay in one spot like I'm doing in this practice session, it's sort of less than 50%, I think, when you capture the plane. If I do actually fly behind him at sport mode, maximum speed 45 miles per hour, I might be able to keep up with him and follow him if he flew in a pattern that wasn't too evasive. But baby steps here. The other thing too is I've told the pilots I'm up there because it's a small drone, so please don't fly directly into that area. You could run into me. Of course, you do this with the pilot's permission. It was fun, practicing for something to advance to and get a little better at it. The goal is to try to follow behind the plane and not crash into each other. But like I said before, these are the baby steps first. By the way, I'm up over the helicopter pad area, south of the runway, so that the plane, if he stays, I think I'm south of the runway. Looks like I'm north of the runway. Yeah. So I am in a spot where he could collide into me. I don't go south of the runway unless I'm in the helicopter flying area, because otherwise you're flying over the pit area, and that's not a good idea. All right. Here's a jet about to take off, so I thought, well, at least I can follow a jet. So I'm on the west end right now, and I decided maybe it would be better to go over to the east end and hover over there by those trees. And so I told Andy where I was. I said, please don't go into that area. I'll see if I can't follow you. As you're going to see from this, all I really captured was his takeoff. It's just too hard to follow the jet by staying in one spot, and I could never keep up with his speed. So I don't think that this Mavic Air has the ability to follow behind a jet flying in the air. he's about to take off. And I decided I should go just a little bit south here over these trees to get out of his runway flight path. So I'm south of the runway. And here he's going to take off here now. And as you can see, I catch him on the takeoff, and then it doesn't take long for me to lose him. Once he picks up speed, I'm not going to be able to yaw the copter fast enough to keep up with him. And because I could hear him flying around and didn't know where he was through the goggles, it started to worry me. I decided, I'm getting out of here. I'm going to go back to my landing pad. And so I did that. Even though I'm south of the runway, I stayed over the parking instead of the pit area, and flew back to my little circular landing pad down there and parked myself. And decided that trying to follow a jet with this was asking too much. Let's stick to the prop planes for a while. So while Andy is flying his jet, and it's not a really fast jet, but it's still a jet. While he's flying his jet north of the runway, I'm down here heading for that little circle you saw, which is my landing pad. I look up one more time, see if I can spot him. No luck. So get your butt down. Let the big boys fly.